Some big surprises on this week's Masked Singer. It is Fright Night. We meet two new competitors, Sir Bugaboo and the Scarecrow, and the Snowstorm performs yet again. Let's talk Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Masked Singer recap and review for Fright Night. We meet two new competitors, and we have a bit of a surprise towards the end of the episode that we will talk about here with one of the competitors. But first, I want to welcome you to Dan Reviews It. We do these Masked Singer reviews every single week that we've got a new episode, and love hearing from you in the comments about who you think is under the mask. So please keep those comments coming. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. We love all of that as well. All right, so they launched right in this week with the first competitor. They did not have a big, song and dance number. I mean, Nick came out to Heads Will Roll by the AAS, but there wasn't, a 4 or 5 minute number before we introduced everybody. So everything kind of started pretty quickly. So I'm going to go in a little bit of an odd order here because of really what happened in this episode. Somebody decided to just unmask then and there and take themselves out of the competition. But first, we're actually going to start with the person who performed last, because that is the Snowstorm. And I don't know who goes home yet of the two remaining contestants. I will have to watch that. But Snowstorm performed last week, and as they've been doing with the people returning, they don't really give us many clues. So even though Snowstorm performed last, I'm going to start with her because I have a really good idea who this is. So again, we saw some of the highlights of the clues from last week, the speed dating banner, the welcome mat, but the new clue was a big, nice white house, which says to me like something with the president. For the panel, it said something with a Real Housewife, so they were all guessing Real Housewives. Jenna said some lady I never heard of. Ken said Lisa Rinna, and Nicole went a different direction though, because there was a carpentry clue or something, and she said that it could be Sabrina Carpenter, the old Disney girl. The song she did was Sweet But Psycho by Ava Max, and her clue, each person had this like creepy kind of clue, and hers was a like voodoo doll type thing, and it said dangerous on the side of it. And so Nick was like, oh, tell us about this clue. And she said, oh, well, safety first. All right, so I'm not sure, honestly, what any of these clues mean, except for maybe this person has performed at the White House at one of the annual, like, sort of roast dinners that they do. So last week, I knew there was somebody in the Comedy Central roast camp that I couldn't think of. I went with Eliza Schlesinger, but I was like, I wasn't quite feeling it, but it was my best guess. There was one that I could not put my finger on that sort of does all of those roasts. She did the Rob Lowe roast. She did the Bruce Willis roast. And immediately, you guys jumped on it in the comments. You always know. And one of you, I don't know who was first, to be honest, said Nikki Glazer, and then a few other people said Nikki Glazer. As soon as I heard that name, I was like, oh, no, it's 100% Nikki Glazer. So this week, I was just listening for the tone, because I've seen her on talk shows. I've actually watched, highlight reels of her roast performances. So I think this is Nikki Glazer. So I'm not sure if the Snowstorm gets voted out this week or will move on. I guess, would next week be the semifinals for her? Or the next step? I think it would be. Well, I don't know. I forget what... I'm so lost anymore. They've really thrown me this season. I forget where we are. But, yeah, because the Bride... Yes, it would be, because the Bride won the first week of this sort of trio, which was Chris Jericho. We found that out last week. And then Snowstorm won. So this is the second and final performance in this round for Snowstorm, whether she goes home or moves on. So I'm going to say it now. I think it's Nikki Glazer. I think you guys are definitely right about that. All right, so let's move on to the other people in this episode. So you have Sir Bugaboo, and his clue is that he won't change. That's the clue that we see as he's walking out. All right, he says, I'm used to spooky sounds. I've been thrown into competition with some of the biggest monstrous, I can't read my writing, some of the most monstrous names in the industry. We see a movie reel at that point. He said, only one of us would get out with the job, though. And we see a hotel bell and a little like bellhop ring thing. We see a phone with 3 question marks on it. He said he's never dreamed that they would be the one to call, but it cemented me a permanent place in pop culture. We see a pen and paper there. He said, but I have a confession. It was all a lie. I told the world I wasn't afraid of anything, even a scary movie, but I'm terrified of the dark. And we see some ghosts surrounding him in the end there. He sang Devil with the Blue Dress On. And his clue was this picture of Nicole in a like fish tank full of slime that Jenny ended up fishing out. It was a picture of Nicole, and he said, we have jammed together. So I was on the same page, or a similar page at least, as Jenny, because she was picking up a lot of the Ghostbuster clues. And right away, when it actually wasn't the phone with the 3 question marks on it, who are you going to call? It was actually when he said, I told the world I wasn't afraid of anything. He said, even a scary movie. But to me, I heard, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. So Jenny thought it could be Ernie Hudson. And I think that's a good guess. I don't think it's Bill Murray. I don't think it's Dan Aykroyd from The Voice. And Harold Ramis has passed away. Now, they've done many Ghostbuster movies. So could it be somebody from one of the other ones? I mean, the only male really in the female version was Chris Hemsworth, and it ain't Chris Hemsworth. But Ghostbusters 2, I mean, it could be Rick Moranis too, but he doesn't really do much anymore. If it's Rick Moranis, I would be floored. The clue won't change. I can't figure that one out, though. Is that a clue maybe to someone's name? Won't change. I don't know. But, I mean, all of these clues lead to the Ghostbusters. Not only just the calling with the 3 question marks on the phone, but in a hotel, like that's sort of where they go. And then the slime, in the fish tank for Slimer. I think it's got to be somebody from the Ghostbusters universe. Ernie Hudson makes the most sense. Ken thought it could be Jordan Peele because he said something about I got out, whatever. I forget where he said that. Only one of us would get out with a job. So Ken thought it could be Jordan Peele. Nicole thought it could be Laurel, who was also in Get Out, Laurel Howery, and she is, kind of buddies with him. She said they did some kind of show together. Or she said it might be Randy Jackson from American Idol. I'm not sure if I'm getting all the ghost clues from that, though. So I'm with Jenny on this. I think it could be Ernie Hudson for that one. All right. And then for the Scarecrow, her clue as she walked out was never rests. She said, I've made some fans scream and praise me, but I had to bend over backwards to get the Academy to recognize my work. We see a globe at that point. She said, I've turned heads and sang on Broadway. We see a roller skate there. There is a sign that just had a big X on it. She said, I've traded the red carpet for green pastures and saving my animals. I live with over 100 rescues. And then we saw a sign that said Wes Craven was here. The original guess, as Robin said, it could be Susan Sarandon. Jenny thought maybe Angelica Houston or Glenn Close. A lot of horror clues there. Of course, Susan Sarandon was in Witches of Eastwick. Angelica Houston was in The Witches. And then Glenn Close, Fatal Attraction, very scary. And then Ken was picking up some of the Scream clues. Wes Craven, I've made fans scream. And thought it could be one of his friends, Parker Posey, because, she sang Abracadabra by Steve Miller. But the clue was this witch that came out and sort of just stared at Ken. And so Parker was, I don't know if it's Parker Posey, but the Scarecrow sort of intimated, well, I've been around you, I know you, whatever. Parker was in one of the Scream movies. And also apparently she's neighbors with Ken. I don't know how true that is. He just kind of says things, but I could see it. So I was sort of thinking along those lines. I was thinking maybe a Parker Posey. I thought maybe Jamie Lee Curtis, but I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis is way too big to do this show, so it can't possibly be her, right? But so here's the thing. So we go to the final vote, the audience vote, and Nick starts saying, "Okay, we're going to announce the winner." And the Scarecrow says, "Nick, hold on, I want to say something. This was a big sort of, breaking of not the rules necessarily, but just breaking protocol and tradition on this show, and letting the audience decide." Mickey Rourke did it as well. He actually he didn't tell Nick he wanted to leave the competition or anything. He just took the mask off, so we didn't even get to hear final votes from the judges. But for this one, she said, "Look, I've enjoyed entertaining everybody for years, so I'm a big legend. But I'm going to bow out. I had a specific reason for doing this show, and I've done it. These guys are real competitors. I want to let them continue. And if you don't mind, I want to take it off." So. They went to the votes or the guesses from the judges, and Mickey Rourke had a specific reason for doing this as well. His friend had recently passed or something, and I guess he loved the show. I sort of forget now; it was years ago, but similar thing. Like, he had a specific reason for doing it. He sang. That's the end. This person, I think, whatever her reason is, I guess we'll find out. But then also, she, I think, is somebody who is big enough that she doesn't necessarily want to keep, going in this competition if she makes it, whatever. So that sort of cemented my guess. But Robin went with the same. Susan Sarandon, Rocky Horror Picture Show, some early horror stuff, but also part of the Fox family with her current show, Monarch. Jenny went with Glenn Close in the end. Ken thinks it still is Parker Posey, but Nicole threw out Jamie Lee Curtis, who that's who I think it is. I mean, I think this is, and it's funny because I was thinking that, but I'm like, Jamie Lee Curtis would never do this show. Like, it's too, too much of a commitment, and that's what makes this season interesting, is that a lot of these people are only on for one episode. But look, all the clues match up. I mean, Wes Craven certainly has worked with a lot of, famous women. Drew Barrymore, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Christy Swanson, he worked with in an 80s movie. But the whole thing about the rescue animal stuck with me. I'm like, who has a bunch of rescues? I couldn't think of it. And I don't know that Jamie Lee Curtis lives with over 100 rescues. That seems like a lot, but she's a very rich woman. She probably lives on, 10 acres or something. But the thing that sort of stuck with me about that is at the Academy Awards, I think it would have been just this last year. There was this tribute to Betty White that Jamie Lee did, and she was talking about this cute little dog, and I forget his name. It was a popcorn or something. It was something really cute. And John Travolta ended up stepping up and taking the dog, but it was a rescue dog, and so I was sort of putting that together as well. I don't know that she lives with 100 rescue dogs, but obviously she's somebody who cares about animals in that way, and she did that tribute to Betty. Betty, of course, was a huge animal activist. She's, I would think, been on Broadway. Jamie Lee Curtis has. I had to bend over backwards to get the Academy to recognize my work. I mean, was she nominated for Fish Called Wanda? I don't know about bending over backwards. I never actually saw Fish Called Wanda, but, she's definitely been Academy nominated, I think, through that movie and maybe something else too. I think the fact that she then was like, I want to take it off, I'm going to bow out of the competition. I think this is Jamie Lee Curtis. And I could be dead wrong. Maybe it's Parker Posey, somebody a lot smaller than Jamie Lee. But let's go to the take it off and see who this is. Is it Jamie Lee Curtis? Oh my God, it's Linda Blair. Holy crapoli. It's Linda Blair for The Exorcist. Okay. I didn't see that coming at all. Holy moly. I mean, that is a Scream Queen, legendary Scream Queen. Oh my God. All right. And okay, that's why she said what? I had to bend over backwards. Okay, with the exorcism stuff. Wow, and I've turned heads. Okay. Wow. So I guess she lives with a bunch of rescues. Holy crap! Oh my God, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, so I definitely got that wrong, but I am, woo, I'm happy to get that wrong because that's a really cool one. I wouldn't have recognized her if they didn't say. I mean, I don't watch a lot of like old scary movies, but yeah. Oh, she's known Robin since he was little. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, Alan Thicke loved him. Okay, or loved her. Okay. I wonder what the reason is though. She said I have a reason. She's gonna say it here. Okay. Oh, because she just loves the show. And yeah, through COVID, it got people through a lot of difficult times. Okay. All right. Well, I think that explains it then. That's very, very sweet. Wow, okay. Well, look, she's not as big of a star as Jamie Lee Curtis, clearly, but that's a pretty fantastic movie star. I don't know that I've ever actually seen any of her movies because I'm not a Fright Night person or an Exorcist person, but that's impressive. All right, so Linda Blair got that one wrong, but happy too actually because that was a good reveal. Nobody got it right. So I like that. All right. So I'm gonna find out now who enters in. Well, we know who enters into the battle royale. It's gonna be Sir Bugaboo and the Snowstorm. But who is going to come out a victor? That we will see here in a moment. Well, it is the Snowstorm moving ahead to the semifinals. So, and he said this was the last slot for the semifinals. So I guess. I mean, we've got to be down to the last couple episodes of the season then, right? We'll have the semifinals and then the finals. I guess. There's, 3 people in the semifinals. We've got the Harp, which is Amber Riley, we think. There is Wilson Phillips, who is who now? The Lambs. I have so many. This notebook is like filled with things, and I just can't find them. All right. So, and then now we'll have the Snowstorm. But there's a guy in it too, right? Did we have another one at some point? I don't even know anymore. I guess maybe that was when the bride was in the semifinal. All right. Well, anyway, we'll find out. I'm so backwards on this show. But all right. So I think the Snowstorm is Nikki Glazer. That is my final guess for her for now. Which, thank you guys for reminding me about her. I hear it every time she speaks. I'm like, that's 100% Nikki Glazer. She's got the same sort of pattern. But so it was Sir Bugaboo who is going home. So what the final guess is from the panel. Nicole went with Randy Jackson, good friend of hers. She kept seeing competition clues in the package, but then Robin was like, but he's not in like scary movies. He's not a scary personality. Like, why would it be Randy Jackson? I think that's a good question. I don't know either. Ken stuck with Jordan Peele. Jenny stuck with Ernie Hudson. We had not heard from Robin in the original guesses, but he was thinking because of involvement in the Scary Movie franchise, including directing the first one, he thought this could be Keenan Ivory Wayans. It's not a horrible guess, but I'm stuck on all of the Ghostbuster clues. The slime, the phone with the question marks on it, especially saying, I told the world I wasn't afraid of anything, as we saw sort of ghosts around him. It's Ghostbusters makes the most sense. And I actually feel like Ernie Hudson was already on this show, but I mean, obviously he wasn't if they're guessing him. So, and see, what is it, season 8 now? We get a lot of people have been on the show over the years. Sometimes I forget who has been on and who is not, after 8 seasons. So, whatever. And then 1 season of The Masked Dancer too. Remember that one? So I think Jenny's correct. I think this is Ernie Hudson. So let's see on the take it off here. Let's see. Is it? Oh my God. It's Ray Parker Jr. who sang Ghostbusters. I thought about that for a split second because he obviously wrote the song Ghostbusters, big hit for him. And that makes sense with there was the pen and paper clue that was leading Ken to Jordan Peele because he was like, oh, he won an Oscar for writing Get Out. And I sort of, I don't know, I just sort of said, forget that clue, put that aside, pen and paper. I thought maybe Ernie Hudson wrote a book or something. I didn't know. Well, I thought of that for a split second, and it just, I don't know, it made more sense for Ernie Hudson, I guess. Darn it, to heck. Ray Parker Jr. That actually makes a lot of sense with the clues. That's, darn it. All right. Yeah, he wrote Ghostbusters, and he wrote The Other Woman. He had a hit with that. And that makes sense too. Nicole has jammed with him because he is, studio musician, studio session musician. So he may have played on one of the Pussycat Doll songs or something. All right, well, wow. This is the first time this season I've gotten both of them wrong, I'm pretty sure. Because I've only had a few wrong up until tonight. So, all right. Well, like I said, I'm happy to be wrong about Linda Blair because that was a great reveal. I really like that. But boy, Ray Parker Jr. It burns me up that I thought of that for a split second and just went right out of my mind. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure Ernie Hudson's the one. I was definitely on the Ghostbusters trail, but boy, all right. Well, there we have it. I guess next week maybe will be the semifinals. Then I am told by one of my commenters that there is a show on tomorrow night, but I think that's going to be now tonight because I'm watching it Thursday morning. I think it's like a recap or a best of the season or something like that. So I think we'll get a next new episode in a week. So did you get these right? I sure missed this week, but let me know in the comments, and we'll see everybody next time on Dan Reviews It. Thanks for watching. Bye.